Last week's Torah portion included, for the very first time, the 10 Commandments. They're given to Moses atop Mount Sinai amid thunder and lightning. This week's portion has much less drama. For the most part, there's no smoke, no fire, no rumbling. Instead, Parshat Mishpatim, at its core, is a list of laws. Law after law after law. The editors of the Eitz Chaim Torah commentary note that up to this point, the Torah has been filled with stories, with narrative, with occasional reference to laws. Starting with this portion, the emphasis is reversed. From here on, the Torah presents the rules by which the Israelites are to live, with occasional narrative breaks. The great commentary Rashi, perhaps experiencing the lack of narrative pizzazz in Mishpatim, notices that the portion begins with the words, "And these are the rules you shall set before them." The first word of this portion is the word "and." As we all know from grammar class, "and" is not a word to begin a sentence, and most definitely not a new chapter or portion. So Rashi teaches the portion really isn't new. It's a continuation of the spectacle found in last week's story. It's all one and the same big wow. This is a remarkable moment in Jewish history. Our ancestors are rejecting the society of Egypt, that of slavery and domination of a king over millions. Instead, the Israelites are to use the laws in these portions and throughout the remainder of the Torah to create a society where justice, safety, respect, and care would reign for everyone. There's a magical moment in this Torah portion, the section that character Pearsall will soon chant. Chapter 24, verse 7 states, "Then Moses took the record of the covenant and read it aloud to the people. And they all said, Kol asher diber Adonai na'aseh v'nishma." All that God has spoken, we will faithfully do. While the Torah does not have any punctuation, every English translation that I could find for this verse of Torah has this statement, all that God has spoken, we will faithfully do, accentuated with an exclamation point. Now, the literal meaning of na'aseh v'nishma is we will do, na'aseh, and we will listen, v'nishma. Commentators jump on the order of our ancestors' eager response to receiving the laws within Torah. The Talmud teaches when the Israelites declared their willingness to perform the mitzvot before hearing them, 600,000 ministering angels came and bestowed on each Israelite 2 crowns, one for the promise to perform and a second for the promise to hear. One can imagine our ancestors reversing the statement, which would have gone something like this. Okay, God, we're going to carefully listen to everything you have to say, and then, based upon what we hear, we will determine what we're going to do. But that's not what they say. Their statement is, we will do it, and then we will listen. Or as the translation in our Torah volume says, all that God has spoken, we will faithfully do. Which I think is a solid representation of the leap of faith the Israelites are entering, albeit after a very moving and miracle-filled experience with God in Egypt, at the Red Sea, and now Mount Sinai. The Eitz Chaim Torah commentary also notes, just as we accept medicine from our physician on trust without understanding exactly how it works and commit ourselves to marriage, parenthood, and a career as acts of faith before we fully understand what they entail, so too the Israelites accepted God's will. There are many things in life that we cannot appreciate before we have actually lived them and come to appreciate their value. We must do them first, na'aseh, and then only afterwards realize why, v'nishma. No doubt this section of Torah has an idealistic nature to it. It's commonly understood that every single Israelite said, all that God has spoken, we will faithfully do. And what they're accepting are the laws that, if followed, will create the just and caring society that I spoke of earlier. It's no small order. What is also curious about this moment in the Torah is that these are the very same Israelites that we'll be reading about throughout the entirety of the Torah. The same Israelites that will kvetch their way throughout so much of their wilderness journey. The same Israelites that will build a golden calf. The very same Israelites that will engage in other inappropriate and concerning behavior. These same people are the ones saying na'aseh v'nishma and getting 2 crowns from the angels? Yes and yes. Our story, our tradition, our people are not afraid of aspiring to be our very best. We're not afraid to set a high bar, extraordinarily high. This section of Torah may be the source text for every one of us who had a parent who saw a 98 on our high school exam and asked, "Knew what happened to the other 2 points that would have given you 100? Our ancestors aspired to build the most impressive, loving, just society filled with standards we still strive to meet today. A world where there's enough food for everyone. A world where the most vulnerable are protected. A world where children honor parents and parents devote themselves to their children's best upbringing. A world where we are honest with each other. A world where we welcome the stranger. And I could go on, and so could you. The ethical and moral foundation of our Judaism today is the same as that in this Torah portion. Our ancestors pledged to bring to fruition these standards even though they were bound to stumble. Our pledge and goal should be no different than theirs, even though it will be tough, no doubt, for us to achieve it all. Rabbi Lawrence Hoffman taught me in rabbinical school that one can see each Shabbat worship service as a reenactment of the Israelites receiving the Torah from Mount Sinai. Don't we, after all, and we did it tonight, every Shabbat build up to the moment where we open the ark, take the Torah out, bring it to the people, ta-da! Now, we don't go as far as formally asking each of us, each time we read and teach from the Torah, to say na'aseh v'nishma. But no doubt we're aspiring tonight and through every worship service to help us individually and collectively be better and connected to the values our ancestors pledged to uphold millennia ago. My prayer for each of us tonight is for us, after we put the Torah away and say Shabbat Shalom and head out of services. My prayer for each of us is to be a little less kvetchy, a bit less of the challenging human that we know is within us, and instead to be the beautiful person within us, and to be the person committed, just a bit more committed and dedicated to creating in our smaller and larger circles a world we can be proud to call ours. Na'aseh v'nishma. May we have the strength to make it so. Amen.